We go to the polls just 1 week from today. Already, though, far more than 1 million people have voted in advance polls. They, of course, opened on Friday, and the final ones close in just a few hours. So, will voters stick with the status quo or opt for change? Polls suggest that they are very split on that question. Eric Grenier, the author and publisher of the Writ.ca, and he is running the CBC's poll tracker. All right, Eric, the final countdown. Where do we stand?
It's very, very close, and it's been like that for a while, and it continues to be very close between the Liberals and the Conservatives. But one of the changes that has actually happened over the last few days is that the Liberals are now ahead. They've moved back in front in our national poll tracker, which is an aggregation of all the polls that are out there. Now, the margin between the Liberals and the Conservatives is not very wide, but this is the first time in over 2 weeks that we've seen that the Liberals have moved back in front of the Conservatives. So the Liberals are currently standing at 32%. The Conservatives are down to 31%. The New Democrats are at 19%. The PPC is now at 6.5%, the Bloc Québécois at 6%, and the Greens at just under 4%. But we've been seeing some movement over the last few days. There have been some polls that came out over the weekend, which did have the Liberals ahead 3 or 4 points in some of these surveys. So it does seem like maybe Justin Trudeau got a bump out of the English language and the French language debates from last week.
It is so close, though. That's almost within the margin of error there, really. The Liberals are up now, but it really could be either way. Yeah,
absolutely. And in the seat count, when we look at that, you see that the Liberal advantage there is still good. It's bigger than it was when we spoke last week. But the Liberals would right now be projected to win about 155 seats, more or less status quo, with where things were at dissolution. The Conservatives at 118, again, more or less matching where we were in the last election. The New Democrats with a few more seats, the Bloc Québécois with a few fewer seats, and the Greens with 1. But with a tie, or more or less a tie in the national polling averages, you would expect the Liberals to have the advantage in winning the most seats. That is what happened in 2019. They lost the popular vote but won the most seats. And there's not really an indication that the electoral geography has changed enough to change that. So as long as the Liberals are tied or not too far behind the Conservatives, you would still expect them to win the most seats.
So let's zero in on that geography and talk Ontario and Quebec, most seats there. What does it look like in those two provinces?
Ontario was the closest race in the country. There had been a gap of about 1 point between the Liberals and the Conservatives. It's now widened a bit for the Liberals. They're now leading with 37% support, followed by the Conservatives at 32%, the New Democrats at 20%, the People's Party at 7%, and the Greens at 3%. When you look at that PPC number and that Conservative number, you put those two together and it would be more than the Liberals. So I'm sure that Erin O'Toole is wishing that the PPC number was a lot lower and that Conservative number was higher, because as long as the Liberals have a lead of this size in Ontario, it's hard for them to lose the seat count, because there are so many seats in Ontario, and because how the Liberal vote is distributed, they do quite well in the GTA, which is, of course, more seats there than most provinces.
Okay, I'm curious about Quebec, though. What kind of shift was there after the debates and all the messiness that came out there?
Quebec has been really interesting, because while the Liberal numbers are improving in most parts of the country, in Quebec, the Bloc number has been coming up. And as the Bloc number comes up, it's harder for the Liberals to win a majority government, which is what they were trying to do when they launched this campaign. 33% right now for the Liberals. That number has stayed the same. We haven't seen that really go up or down since the French language debate, but the Bloc has come up, because at one point they were just under 25% support. You can see now they're at 28%, so they have gotten a bump out of the French language and probably also out of the English language debate, because how that changed the conversation. The Conservatives have come down. They're now at 19%, the New Democrats at 12%, the People's Party at 4%, and the Greens at 3%. But this fight between the Liberals and the Bloc, Justin Trudeau went to Quebec just after the debates. I think they see an opportunity there for some gains.
All right. Eric Grenier of the Writ.ca. Thanks as always.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.